Nam Mo Shakyamuni Buddha. Respected audience, today we come together to explore a very important aspect of life, which is the concept of the self. To truly understand the self, we must first examine the essence of who we are. The self that we often think of is the self that we construct over time. From a young age, we are educated, shaped in character, and build our unique identities. This self is reflected through our experiences, relationships, and even our dreams and aspirations. As we grow older, this self becomes more pronounced. It is where all of our beliefs, desires, and fears reside. However, have you ever asked yourself, who is this self? When we discuss the self, Buddhism offers a different perspective. We often assume the self is a stable entity, but in reality, the self is always changing and evolving. Take a moment to reflect. Is the self you identify with today the same as the self you recognized a year ago or 5 years ago? The factors of age, experience, and even the environment all influence our self. Therefore, the self is merely a concept, an image we create for ourselves, and it is not an eternal entity. When the Buddha attained enlightenment, he realized the true nature of the self. He discovered that the self is just an illusion. We cannot separate ourselves from the external influences surrounding us. Everything we experience, from emotions, thoughts, to physical sensations, depends on external conditions. We often cling to the self, believing it to be our true essence. Yet the self is merely a shadow, reflecting what we see, feel, and experience. When we recognize that the self is not an eternal entity, we can more easily let go of the burdens and pain it brings. This is important because when we identify the self as a separate entity, we confront suffering, anxiety, and fear. These negative emotions not only affect us, but also impact those around us, leading to tense and troubled relationships. When we let go of the self, we free ourselves from suffering. Human suffering arises from attachment and our inability to accept the truth that everything is subject to change. Consider this: when we cling to an image, a label, or an emotion, we are binding ourselves to impermanent things. The self is to practice letting go of the self. We can start with small things. Try spending a day not just thinking about yourself, but caring about those around you. Practice compassion and share love with others. Through this, we will feel a deep connection with all beings. Look into the eyes of others, listen to their stories, and understand their joys and pains. This will not only enrich your experience of life, but also help you realize that we are all alike, sharing similar aspirations and fears. Dear audience, the self is not something separate or isolated. It is a part of the whole, and recognizing this will help us live a happier and more peaceful life. Nam Mo Shakyamuni Buddha. May we all be able to recognize and let go of the self to find our true essence. I wish you all peace and happiness in your lives.